Cash Money Records is an American record label founded in 1991 by brothers Brian Birdman Williams and Ronald Slim Williams. The label gained widespread success in the late 1990s and early 2000s with the emergence of several prominent artists and rap groups, including the Hot Boyz. The Hot Boyz was a rap group formed in 1997, consisting of Lil Wayne, Juvenile, BG, and Turk. Birdman, Big Timers, Juvenile, Manny Fresh, BG, Turk, and notably Lil Wayne. All these names resonate when the conversation turns to Cash Money Records in New Orleans. Birdman, formerly known as Baby, alongside his brother Slim, spearheaded a significant movement in the 90s through Cash Money, playing a pivotal role in establishing New Orleans on the rap music landscape. Slim was more the brains behind the scene and preferred to let his brother Baby occupy the spotlight. It was Baby's idea to push bounce music onto the national scene. The brothers formed Cash Money Records back in 1991. They took the name from the Cash Money Brothers gang featured in the film New Jack City, which was a source of inspiration at the time. Hoping to capitalize on the new bounce music phenomenon which was sweeping across New Orleans at the time, Baby and Slim quickly went to work on recruiting talent for their fledgling label. Cash Money Records made its entrance with the launch of Kilo G's album titled The Sleepwalker. Kilo was a mere 15-year-old when he marked his debut with Cash Money in 1992. Manny Fresh linked up with the Williams brothers in 1993 to become their in-house producer, and that moment later on proved to be the defining moment for the label and New Orleans hip-hop as a whole. The lineup grew to include prominent groups like UNLV and Projects Most Wanted, along with solo artists such as Pimp Daddy, the hook specialist Miss T, and Lil Slim. Brian Williams himself entered the rap scene with his debut as B-32, delivering the track I Need a Bag of Dope in 1993, an ode to recreational heroin use. Although Lil Slim achieved local success with projects like Hands on My Gun and Time to Murder during his tenure at Cash Money, his enduring impact might be most notable as the individual who brought Lil Wayne into the Cash Money fold. Slim had a long-standing connection with a young Dwayne Carter, as both of them resided in New Orleans' 9th Ward. He introduced the young Dwayne Carter to the Williams brothers, who were impressed and signed him. Christopher Dorsey was a figure of folklore, whose life almost withered away due to his consistent use of drugs. Better known as New Orleans rapper BG was born and raised in uptown New Orleans' 13th Ward. He grew up rapping for fun until one day, his barber was impressed enough with his skill that he recommended an audience with two of his other clients, Brian Baby and Ronald Slim Williams, the heads of the then fledgling Cash Money Records. They liked what they heard and added him to their tiny roster and agreed to help look after him after the Dorsey family moved to New Orleans East. For a short while, BG went to Abramson High School but soon dropped out. At 14, Christopher Dorsey had mastered the art of storytelling, depicting life in the rough streets of the 13th Ward of New Orleans, Valence, and Magnolia. Originally known as Lil Doogie, and sometimes Gangsta D, Dorsey was paired with another young rapper and new signee, a 12-year-old from Hollygrove who'd rapped on the playground as Shrimp Daddy. Shrimp Daddy was renamed to Baby D, and together with Doogie became known as the BGZ, short for the Baby Gangsta. Despite his youth, Dorsey demonstrated a maturity beyond his years, a quality evident on the BG's 1995 debut album, True Story. Even at a young age, he fearlessly took the front line in Cash Money's ongoing feud with crosstown rival Big Boy Records and artist Mystical. Before Mystical rose to stardom with No Limit, he was a local sensation in New Orleans, a Gulf War veteran engaged in a war of words with Cash Money's hit group, UNLV. Shortly after recording his debut, Dorsey faced legal troubles as a juvenile, charged with possession of a firearm, crack, and marijuana. Despite being found guilty on all counts, he was fortunate to receive probation. However, a violation led to a 2-month stint behind bars. Returning home, he was further devastated by the loss of his best friend. Things took a darker turn when he was arrested for possession of 30 Valiums and 2 ounces of weed. This time, his jail term was more prolonged. When his original 3-year sentence was reduced to 8 months, BG was released and made a conscious decision to turn his life around. Although battling heroin addiction for years, his commitment to music became unwavering, leading to a period of prolific creativity that he has not matched since. In 1996, Cash Money recognized the talent of the maturing teen and decided he would be a solo artist, giving him the BG moniker as Baby D became Lil Wayne. The year saw the release of BG's debut album Chopper City, an album regarded as one of the hardest gangster rap albums of all time. The biggest draw of the album was BG's vulnerability and willingness to lay his vices on the line. Following an accidental self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest with his stepfather's .44, Lil and concerns from his mother, Wayne took a hiatus from Cash Money for the subsequent 4 years. Terrence, better known by his stage name Juvenile, began his career in the early 1990s as a teenager with bounce music recordings that made him a local star. He was raised in the Magnolia projects of uptown New Orleans, Louisiana's 3rd Ward. Juvenile's debut album, Being Myself, was released in 1995 after signing with Warlock Records. The album did not gain much national attention and did not chart, but did fairly well on a local level. With the sour taste of the music industry in his mouth, he relegated his rap career to doings and club gigs whilst working to 5 jobs during the day. In 1997, after he heard UNLV's Drag Him in the River, he knew he wanted to rap over Fresh's beats. After Lilius set up a deal with Baby, Juvie signed and soon after delivered the Soldier Rags album. The same year, the Hot Boyz were formed, mainly to capitalize on the fame of BG and newly signed Juvenile whilst introducing a just-returned Lil Wayne and another new signee, Young Turk. Rapper Bulletproof was an original member, but left the group before they released their first album. The name Hot Boyz was derived from a Magnolia project street crew of hustlers and gangsters that ran uptown New Orleans in the late 80s and early 90s. The original Hot Boyz were Terrence Gangsta Williams, brother of Cash Money CEO Bryan Birdman Williams, Sterling, Mosquito, and Dooney. The success of the Hot Boyz debut album Get It How You Live and both BG's and Juvenile's individual success led to Cash Money record label brokering a $30 million distribution deal through Universal Records, thus giving Cash Money Records a wider audience and more resources. Immediately following the deal, they released Juvenile's album 400 Degrees, featuring the hit single Ha and the iconic Back That Is Up, propelling the album to a quadruple platinum status. This success set the stage for a remarkable run in 1999, with 4 consecutive platinum-selling albums. The streak kicked off with B.G's Chopper City in the Ghetto, coining the popular phrase bling bling. The Hot Boyz Guerrilla Warfare album followed, becoming their most successful. Lil Wayne's debut, The Block Is Hot, showcased his talent as he refrained from using explicit language throughout the entire album. Rounding out the quartet was Juvenile's The G Code. In 2000, Birdman and producer Manny Fresh collaborated as a duo under the name Big Timers, releasing an album that achieved platinum status. Their success reached new heights, leading them to venture into the world of independent filmmaking with the creation of the movie Baller Blockkind. However, beneath the surface, cracks started to appear within the Cash Money record label. While the previous releases routinely went platinum, suddenly albums were going gold instead. The same hype did not surround BG's Checkmate and Wayne's Lights Out in late 2000 despite the quality of those records. The trend continued with Turk's debut Young and Thuggin', which went largely forgotten rather quickly, while Juvenile failed to replicate the success of Back That Is Up on Mama Got Ass Off 2001's Project English. While Cash Money was at the top of the rap game, the heroin had its artists at their lowest. BG and Turk consistently missed shows and appearances, getting so high that they often couldn't even make it to video shoots. Baby and Slim's constant attempts to wean the members off of the drugs failed. In 2001, Juvenile would leave the label as his Project English was nearing release, and BG would essentially disappear from the public eye for the majority of the year. Turk would finally release his solo debut, but he was on the way out of the door as well. Juvenile, the flagship artist of Cash Money Records, hired an attorney who advised him that Cash Money was not paying him money he deserved. Juvie, BG, and Turk's exit meant the end of the Hot Boyz, which put their third album Let 'Em Burn in limbo. It would later surface in 2003. Both BG and Turk were dogged by serious problems with hard drugs, and each spent long periods incarcerated. Turk served 9 years of a 14-year sentence stemming from the 2004 shooting of a police officer in Memphis. He was released in 2012. Just months before Turk's release, BG received his own 14-year sentence to a federal prison for gun possession and witness tampering. Lil Wayne evolved into a force of nature, unleashing a string of classic mixtapes and platinum albums that translated into one of the most successful runs in rap history for an artist. All the while, he was cultivating his Young Money roster, which eventually introduced future icons like Nicki Minaj and Drake to the public. Fast forward to 2014, Lil Wayne hopped on Twitter to air out his grievances with Cash Money Records after discovering that his long-awaited album, The Carter 5, had been pushed back yet again. On January 25, 2015, amidst conflicting reports regarding the release status of The Carter V, Lil Wayne declared a $51 million lawsuit against Cash Money. The legal action alleged that Birdman had violated the terms of Lil Wayne's contract by preventing the release of the album. The lawsuit additionally aimed to terminate Lil Wayne's contract with Cash Money, along with the contracts of his Young Money artists. After almost 3 years of public dices, numerous lawsuits, and several almost reconciliations, Wayne and Birdman finally decided to put an end to their saga and bury the hatchet. At the Lil Louisiana Fest in August 2018, Birdman came on stage to apologize to Wayne.